Hi everybody, this is Gigi from Kauai Community College. In this video, I will be talking about the distributive property and the area model and how they relate to multiplication. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so area model and distributive property. As you can see, the distributive property is when you have a number on the outside multiplied by a quantity like a times x plus y. You will take a and distribute to both x and y, so you'll get ax plus ay, right? That's what you normally see. Now, how does that relate to multiplication? Let's take the problem of 4 times 35, for example. We know that 35 is 30 plus 5, right? So 4 times 30 plus 5 looks just like the distributive property. And that means you take 4 multiplied by 30 and then 4 times 5. That will give you 120 and 20, and that would be 140 altogether. Now, that's what we normally use when we're doing mental math, right? That's the number sense that we have. And it works because of the distributive property, okay? Now, let's extend this type of thinking to fraction, what we're learning in this unit. For example, if you have 4 times 2 and 3/5. Well, when I say 2 and 3/5, that means 2 plus 3/5, right? So this problem is the same as 4 times 2 plus 3/5. Just like the distributive property, you would have to take 4 times 2 and then 4 times 3/5. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3/5 is 12/5, which is 2 and 2/5. So in total, you have 10 and 2/5. Okay, now sometimes that whole writing process seems really wordy and it's kind of hard to see. So what we could do is we could put that in what we call an area model. Okay, so let's see how the area model works here. Okay, 4 times 35, same problem. Okay, but now I'm gonna think of it as multiplication is the area of a rectangle where the length is 30 plus 5 and the width is 4. So then I will have the same as before. This is just the distributive property, but just in a rectangle. Then I would have 2 parts. 4 times 30, which is 120, and then 4 times 5, which is 20, and then you add together. So then the area, the concept is the area of the larger rectangle is the sum of 2 smaller rectangles. So then you will have 20 plus 120 is 140, as you can see before, right? So it's the same distributive property using a rectangle, so it's a little bit more visual for you to see. Same problem now, 4 times 2 and 3/5 in an area model. So again, rectangle, the length would be 2 plus 3/5, the width would be 4. Then we have 2 smaller rectangles inside. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3/5 is 12/5, and 12/5 is the same as 2 and 2/5. So again, together it's 10 and 2/5. It's just a little bit more visual and maybe more organized so that you know exactly what goes where, okay? Let's extend the area model here into this type of problem. That's a huge number, right? But no worries, we're gonna break it down, and that's the process, and that's why this is helpful, is that it breaks the numbers down into smaller, friendlier units. Okay, so 571 is 500 plus 70 plus 1, and then 23 is 20 plus 3. So then we use the distributive property to multiply and find the area of each smaller rectangle, right? And so 20 times 500 is 10,000. 20 times 70 is 1400. 20 times 1 is 20. 3 times 500 is 1500. 3 times 70 is 210. And then 3 times 1 is 3. And if we add them all together, we have 13,133. And that's how the area models work for multiplication with multi-digit number, right? Now, how does it work with fractions? When do you see this in fractions? When you have things like that, 5 2/3 plus multiplied by 6 3/5. Okay, so here's the rectangle, 5 2/3, and the other part would be 6 plus 3/5. And you can see how the distributive property works here, right? So 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 2/3 is 12/3, which is the same as 4. And then 3/5 times 5 groups of 3/5 is 15/5, which is 3. And then 3/5 multiplied by 2/3 is 6/15, which reduced to be 2/3. And then we would go and add all of these results together to get your final answer, and that's 37 2/5. And that's how the area model work with what we call mixed numbers, right? It's a mixture of whole numbers and fraction. Okay, now if you didn't like the area model so much, you can just write it out using the distributive property, just like how we started this video. For example, the same question now, but we're gonna write it out as 5 plus 2/3 multiplied by 6 plus 3/5, right? Then according to the distributive property, you would have to take 5 multiplied to 6, that would be 30. Then you have to take 5 multiplied by 3/5, and then you will get 15/5, which becomes 3. You've seen that before in the area model. It's just not in a rectangle now. Okay, and then now the second part would be to take the 2/3 and multiply to 6. That would give you 12/3, which is 4. And then take the 2/3, distribute that to 3/5, and you will get 6/15, which reduced to be 2/5. And then you would go and add up all of these results, and that still will give you 37 2/5. Same answer, right? So distributive property written out or distributive property in a rectangle model. Whatever you like, but that's how distributive property works for multiplication, even for fractions. And that's pretty awesome. All right, that's it for today.